So, this episode showcases once again beautiful development for our two main characters, Yurio and Yuri. As we know, what was set up with the second episode, Yuri is a type of character that lacks confidence. Yurio is a character that has a lot of charisma, but he doesn't show his vulnerable side. I've talked about this quite a bit. And this episode goes even further to develop both of these characters and showcase what they really need to work on and bring to the table for they can be a better ice skater. And so, this episode takes a lot of time to focus on some of the faults that Yuri has made in the past. Now, one of the big things about his character, besides, his confidence, like his lack of confidence, we know that he's never had a girlfriend. He's never experienced love. Now, I did talk about love quite a bit in last week's episode, especially when it came to food. But in terms of actually having a relationship with someone, Yuri has never had this. He's never had a relationship ever. The only thing I can say that comes form to close to love would probably be what he feels for Victor. He thinks of Victor as his idol, as someone that is his symbol. Kind of how, Izuku thinks of All Might in Boku no Hero Academia. He thinks of Victor as an idol, and he puts him on this pedestal to where he constantly wants to be as good as him. He smiles, he gets happy, and he doesn't want to show his other softer sides to this person because of how much he really respects Victor. And so throughout this episode, you have it to where our main character, Yuri, he opens up a little bit and lets us see what kind of happened in the past and some of the mistakes he made that he wishes he could change, but he needs to carry on with him because there's nothing he can do to necessarily change it. There's two things in this episode that really stood out, and that was his interaction with making his own music, and the other one was with a girl that decided to give him a hug, but he shoved her away. These two different scenes definitely have a lot of impact to this episode and also to Yuri's character and kind of what he stands for and still kind of stands for to this day. Let's talk about the girl he shoved away. The reason why Yuri shoved her away was because he wasn't used to people constantly thinking he's weak. See, at first glance, Yuri as a character, he seems like a weakling. He's someone that is, that lacks confidence. This is one of the big things about his character. And when the girl was deciding to comfort him, he pushed her away because, for one, he felt like she was overstepping her bounds and getting too close to him, but also she thought he was weak. And the thing is that majority of the people he hangs out with, all of his family members and close friends at his hometown, they don't view him like that. They actually view like he has potential for growth, a potential to become even better and become strong, and they don't believe he is weak. They believe he is strong. And so this was like one of the very few times that someone's ever really looked at him and thought he was necessarily weak. Now, Yuri knows. He knows he's weak. He knows deep down what type of person he is. But this is the first time that he ever really experienced someone else doing this to him, and the way it was done, it really made him uncomfortable. And then when he shoved her away, he realizes what he did. He was upset with what he did, and he wishes he can kind of take it back, but at the same time, he just didn't know how to react at that time because of all the stuff he's dealt with throughout his life. Now, besides that scene, we also move over to the music CD. The music CD scene of this episode lets us know that at one point in time, Yuri had confidence enough to where he wanted his own music for his own performance. And so he got his own music made, and when he tried to ask his, teacher, he's like, hey, can you play this for my performance? And eventually the teacher's like, no, you sure you want to play this because it's not really that good? And overall, the music was actually good. It just, in terms of being good music for the situation, it was not. Let me explain. The song was, let's say, too good. For instance, it hit too close to home. It hit way too close to what type of person Yuri really was. For instance, him being a very weak individual. And the song hit so close to it that it would not have been good in a performance, because if anyone was listening to it and knows anything about ice skating, how they're putting on a play or displaying themselves, like, their love or whatever, people can key in on that. It would make his performance kind of drop. So, in a way, the person that made his song made it too good. They made it way too close to how he really was, how he was in the first time around, and so that's why that song couldn't be used, which eventually led into where Yuri felt upset because he wasn't using that song. He did not use that song in his performance, which he felt like he let down the person that made it for him. I mean, that's understandable. Let me think about this, okay? You have a close friend you have a competition, okay? Let's just say like a music competition, or like you're playing drums or something, okay? You're playing drums, and you're asking one of your very close friends to like make the background music for you, and then they make this background music. They maybe spend an entire week, couple weeks, maybe even a month making this music. They finally give it to you, and when you finally have it and you're about to sit down and start playing this, you realize the music just doesn't work. It just will not work, because it was just so good, but for some reason it just won't work because of what type of theme you're trying to display in your performance, that you just can't use it. And so it's kind of like crushing the hopes and happiness of this person that spent so much time and effort on making something. And so when Yuri did that and he didn't use the song, he felt like he let down the person. He let them down to where he kind of just threw aside their thoughts and their feelings, and he just cared about his own self. That's kind of how he felt in that moment. So I understand where he's coming from, and now that he's trying to kind of make a new song for his performance, I like the direction. And I wonder if this person that's making his song, if this person really does care deeply about him, because we didn't get a lot of characterization for this person. All we know is that this person decided to make him a song, was a student, but we don't really know much more than that. We don't know if this person has a lot of feelings for Yuri, or if this is just because this person's a very kind individual. We have no idea at this time, and hopefully that gets developed in the future of Yuri on Ice. But getting off of that, though, let's talk about what the song is supposed to convey to us, the audience, and everyone else that sits down and watches the performance of Yuri. His new, I guess, atmosphere right now, he's trying to find himself. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to find a stronger self himself, build up confidence. That's what Yuri's been trying to do throughout his journey so far. And this new song that kind of is going to display some of the things that he's been doing recently, I feel like it's going to fit very perfectly with what he needs to do. And so, I'm kind of excited to see him perform with the song, and also the title song at that, the title drop, Yuri on Ice. I'm very excited to see him actually do his full-out performance with this song, and also see how this song really displays what type of person he's grown into. Now, getting off of Yuri, let's talk about Yurio. So, Yurio as a character, I've already said he's pretty much the complete opposite of what Yuri stands for, and his stance in this episode is very similar to what Yuri is trying to do. Yurio, he gets a new coach, a teacher, and this teacher, very strict. Like, right off the bat, if you really pay attention, this teacher is very strict. You think this teacher's too strict, and you'd be pissed off. You're like, why the fuck could you deal with something like that? That's normally what people would look at if they saw that type of attitude from a coach. But this coach is actually helping Yuri quite a bit, spending a lot of time with him for he can develop, and also he can become a better ice skater. And one of the big things about this was how Yurio, he's displaying that he wants to open up. He's trying to showcase a vulnerable side, but also work on his techniques. Because let's go back to last week's episode, what costed him that match against Yuri. See, Yurio, he's very talented, he's very skilled, and he's a great ice skater. But one of the big things about him last week was that he knew what message he wanted to perform to. For instance, he knew who he wanted to perform for, his grandpa, but he couldn't do the moves for it because he couldn't concentrate on the performance, the actual person he was doing it for, and instead he had to focus all of his mind on actually moving. So throughout this episode, his side of the story is him learning to showcase his mobility. For instance, learning techniques, how to do jumps and all that, trying to make his body stronger because he already has his performance down. He already knows kind of what he wants to do, but he needs to build up his strength before he can do these techniques without, really messing up, or where he can actually focus on the song and the music and the performance instead of what he's doing when he's moving. So this episode, it's kind of the exact opposite with each character. Like you have to where Yurio, he's trying to master his moves, while Yuri, he's already very good at moving. The only problems he has is jumping, but overall though, he has a lot of stamina and he doesn't really need to worry about, being crippled and, for instance, being very exhausted, like, I can't move. He doesn't have to feel like that. And so he just needs to focus on his performance, which that is what he's lacking. While Yurio, he's lacking in his movement department, but not his performance department. So, both sides of these are very good, and I like the direction with these two characters, and so far, Yuri on Ice has been a very spectacular series when it comes to character development for these two characters. Now, besides that, let's talk about one thing, okay? One thing that many are going to be talking about, and I need to address it because it's a very important aspect of this episode, and it does need to be discussed. So, there was a scene at the beginning of the episode where Yuri and Victor have a moment. And Victor states, like, what do you want me to be for you, Yuri? I mean, This is kind of a conversation I could see brought up quite a bit. And I mean, we know how Yuri feels about Victor. He thinks of him as an idol, someone that's on this high up pedestal that's kind of like a god to him. That's how he views Victor. And Victor, he asks a question like, Yuri, what do you want me to be for you? A father? A friend? A family member? Your boyfriend? And when that was stated, I'm like, yo, this is actually surprising. Let me explain why this is surprising. For one reason only, is that I've seen a lot of anime, and I've read a lot of manga, and when it comes to foreigners, okay, like a foreigner that, is displayed weirdly, or, usually has this yaoi undertone, or even Yuri undertones, these type of undertones, okay? When it's displayed from a foreigner, usually writers tend to write this off as like, oh, that foreigner is just kind of weird, he's different, or she's different, and that's why she's acting like that, and they kind of throw aside these themes, for instance, yaoi and Yuri themes, and the way Victor just straight up stated, like, do you want me to be your boyfriend, and of course, Yuri, he's like, no, and all that, yeah, he denied it, but the way Victor point blank stated that, and we know the context of what he was stating, that's very mature. I have to compliment the writer of Yuri on Ice for going that path. I mean, even if that's not the path it's going to go, I'm just surprised how that was tackled and really brought to the table. I mean, I expected that to be ignored throughout the entirety of this series, because, I mean, yes, it does have yaoi undertones. Yuri on Ice has yaoi undertones, but I'd never expected it to be confronted like that. For instance, just point blank confronted with Victor saying, do you want me to be your boyfriend? I'm like, oh my, like, holy shit, this really just happened. And so, with that not being wrote off and just thrown on the table, or these themes just being yaoi undertones and just sticking as yaoi undertones, I'm just surprised it was brought up like that, and so, well done, Yuri on Ice. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan that wants to go out of my way to watch yaoi shows, I don't. The only reason why I'm really loving the show is because the way it's being displayed in a mature fashion with these characters. I normally wouldn't watch a show like this, but I have to show respect to a series that actually dives into some of these very controversial subjects, like yaoi, like this, and handles it in a way that's very tasteful. Now, granted, you could be kind of upset the way, Yuri kind of displayed, like, no, but we have to think about this. Yuri looks at Victor as an idol, as a symbol, as a hero, as, like, a god. He doesn't look at, Victor as someone like that, someone as a possible lover. He doesn't. But there is a potential possibility if the series decides to go down this route and we come back to this conversation and it wants to kind of confront this topic instead of just keeping it yaoi undertones, there is a possibility he might understand what type of feelings he has. Now, like I said, I don't know if that's the direction it's going to go, but I do want to discuss that because it's very important to the series now with Victor mentioning that. I mean, we just can't deny it anymore. So, well done, Yuri on Ice. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of the maturity, the way you handled that, but also the maturity of the character development both of these characters got. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I mean, how do you all feel about, this episode? How do you feel about Yuri entering in his last competition? He's going to have to go all out. He has to work from the bottom to the top once again because of the failures he had. Now he needs to work back up. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.